Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. Tonight, I want to talk about something that I really recently realized. It has to do with "Do in God we trust." The problem that I saw, and I see now, is there was an attempt to have the saying "In God we trust" removed from our money. At first glance, I didn't think too much about this, and basically I didn't really care. But as I thought about it, and I thought about removing the saying that I've always seen on our money, things changed in me, and I realized that I do have an opinion on it now. People choose to hide from the word God. Why should I care? I don't really. But if they want us to remove God from everywhere in the government or in public, well, I think I have a problem with that. In this case, wouldn't it be enough, or isn't it enough, that our founding fathers never imposed a belief of God on us, but they didn't hide their gratitude to one for our country? Why shouldn't we believe and trust in them? Because we know that our founding fathers did exist. There's no question of that. And they have proven they had great insight while taking great care in forming this magnificent union. Why? What do we know today that could or should trump the solid foundation that they have left us as all Americans? Those that believe in God and those don't. Yes, there were atheists existed even then. The problem is we continue to systematically allow God to be removed from government and public places. And I'm afraid we might find that if we continue to do this, the American dream that we all love so much could leave along with it. And some may want this, but I'm not one of them. So where do these references to God come from? And why are they being attacked? Let's look at where this trust in God came from. From the very beginning, America has roots in trust in God. The first charter of Virginia in 1606 mentions providence of Almighty God, and the Pilgrims of Plymouth set forth in their Mayflower Compact, and they spoke of God. And then the most famous probably is the Declaration of Independence, drafted by Thomas Jefferson. And there they reference the laws of nature and of nature's God. And in it states, we hold these rights to be self-evident, that all men are created equal, that they are endowed by the Creator with certain unalienable rights, that among these are life, liberty, and the pursuit of happiness. The signers of that document acknowledge their trust in God by appealing to a firm reliance on the protection of divine providence. Thomas Jefferson further, in the Virginia Statute for Religious Freedom, which was a forerunner of our First Amendment, he spelled out, whereas Almighty God had created the mind free, that all attempts to influence it by temporal punishments or burdens or by civil incapacitations tend only to beget habits of hypocrisy and meanness. And finally, George Washington confessed his dependence upon God in his first inaugural address. He said, in saying that no people can be bound to acknowledge and adore the invisible hand which conducts the affairs of men more than those of the United States. So since the earliest days, the leaders of our republic have acknowledged God's hand in America. How do we place this trust in a more modern era? Well, we got to "In God we trust," and put it on America's currency can be traced to two major times of crisis, actually, in the nation's history. One, the beginning of it was in the Civil War, when Secretary of State Chase, Salmon P. Chase, upon the urging of the public and of many ministers, decided to put it on coins. The second time was during the Cold War, another where it was a communist, atheist country against the United States, and I guess we felt the need to put it on paper money also. So that happened October 1st of 1957. So our founders put God in many very public places. Why would we want to change it? For me, it's a call to arms. And where will the next attack come? Since 1955, all United States coins and currency have carried the motto, "In God We Trust." But not until 1970-78 were the laws authorizing its use legally challenged. Responding to an atheist, the court rejected her argument that the phrase "In God We Trust" violated the First Amendment. One of the justices said, "It is not that the use of these four words can be dismissed. The truth is that we have simply interwoven the motto so deeply into our fabric of our civil policy that its present use may well not present that type of involvement which the First Amendment prohibits." The United States Supreme Court refused to hear the case. Why debate and discuss our motto throughout the last century in Congress? These clarified that the motto has spiritual and psychological value. Efforts to prevent "In God We Trust" from being engraved in the Capitol Business Center were recently beat back. Unfortunately, we have a number of key public officials who, even after the 2002 vote, apparently were confused about what the national motto was. Some would say it's "E pluribus unum," but it's "In God We Trust." So it's time to leave this alone as citizens to see that any more attempts are quickly dealt with to try to change God anymore. In conclusion, our public recognition of God and the use of it as a motto, "In God We Trust," on our coins and currency has a long and well-founded place in America's heritage. The Supreme Court recognized this heritage when Justice Douglas stated, "We are a religious people whose institutions presuppose a supreme being." We must recognize and respect the sources of these rights and make us Americans that make us Americans. Our founders were all taking a great personal risk signing the Declaration of Independence and their lives on the line while trusting in divine providence. As Americans, we must respect the rights of everyone, but if someone chooses to ignore the fact that we have a long history of trusting God, then it's our duty to try and inform and educate. So if and when people try again to take credit away from a power greater than us or the U.S., we must raise our voices in opposition as our founding fathers did and show them who benefited greatly from their belief and courage, have even an ounce of their courage and remember any of their true wisdom. The spiritual strength that they had used allowed the greatest democracy ever in creation to be born, and we are the caretakers now. As we enter our third century as a nation, we must not forget our legacy of dependence upon God, reflected in our national motto, "In God We Trust." It is time to make a stand and not allow our divinely given freedom to be manipulated and perverted in a cry for individual rights out of ignorance to our rich history. We need more God in government, not less. There is a way to do this. Our founding fathers pointed to us, pointed the way. It is the right direction. There is no real good reason to try to remove God from our republic. Ego and denial are the only reasons I see without going into what could be evil motivations. We should and must renew our trust in God and nation under God and guard against those that would try to place people above God or deny anyone a chance to learn about God's place in this country. A government without God is a sad place, and the founding fathers knew this. I would hope whatever your belief is, that you would at least consider the fact In the minds of our founding fathers, and in many more still today, God and the United States are deeply connected. The model of the United States is fitting and appropriate, and in reality a great source of inspiration and hope, even for those that may now despise it. God bless America. Thank you.